The silence that followed Sarah's scream was heavier than the darkness outside, punctuated only by the distant, mocking wail of a police siren, heading somewhere else. Always somewhere else. Liam burst through the back door. The splintered wood of the ramp scattered like a fallen giant's bones across the dew-kissed lawn. The air still hummed with the phantom vibration of heavy machinery, the faint smell of exhaust lingering like a dirty secret. Liam! Oh my God, Liam! Sarah's voice, usually so steady and calm, was brittle with terror, on the verge of cracking. She was in her wheelchair just inside the doorway, her hands clamped over her mouth, eyes wide and fixed on the wreckage. Her pale face, illuminated by the porch light, reflected the horror, the helplessness. For Sarah, that ramp wasn't just wood and screws. It was her bridge to the outside world, her fragile independence. Now it was gone, reduced to kindling. Liam knelt, picking up a jagged piece of plywood, its edges rough and splintered. This wasn't some kid's prank. This was deliberate, malicious, and done with an efficiency that spoke of intent. Who would do this, Sarah? Why? His voice was low, a dangerous rumble he rarely let surface. He felt a primal rage clawing at his throat. Sarah, born with osteogenesis imperfecta, had navigated life with an extraordinary grace, her spirit unyielding despite her fragile bones. This ramp, custom-built by Liam with every spare cent and every waking hour for 6 painstaking months, was her lifeline. It allowed her to roll her chair directly into their specially modified van, giving her a semblance of normalcy, a life beyond these 4 walls. Without it, she was trapped. I don't know, she whispered, tears finally, overflowing, carving paths through the dust on her cheeks. I heard a loud bang like an explosion, then another, and then the scraping. I looked out and there was a dark truck just pulling away. Liam scanned the yard, the street. Empty. The night had swallowed the culprits whole. He pulled out his phone, his fingers already dialing 911. The dispatcher's voice was calm, almost bored. 911! What's your emergency? My sister's wheelchair ramp has been destroyed, Liam bit out, trying to keep the tremor from his voice. Someone just drove off. This isn't an accident. This was deliberate. A property damage. Complaint? Sir, we'll dispatch an officer when one becomes available. This isn't a priority call. Not a priority? My sister is disabled. This ramp is essential for her to even leave the house. This is an attack on her independence. The words were sharp, laced with an anger that was now boiling over. Sir, please remain calm. An officer will be there when they can. Do you have any identifying information on the vehicle? It was dark. A truck. I couldn't see the plates. Liam clenched his jaw, forcing himself to breathe. He knew this response. He'd lived in this town long enough to know how little the police cared about anything that didn't involve flashing lights and sirens. He hung up, the silence after the click amplifying his helplessness. He turned to Sarah, forcing a reassuring smile he didn't feel. It's going to be okay. We'll figure this out. But the look in Sarah's eyes, that glimmer of fear and resignation, twisted a knife in his gut. She knew. They were alone. Next morning, the police officer finally arrived. Officer Miller, a burly man with a perpetually tired expression, took down their statement with a practiced disinterest. He barely glanced at the shattered ramp, his eyes scanning the property, then the street, as if searching for a coffee shop, not clues. Any enemies, Mr. Vance? Miller asked, scribbling notes on a pad. Enemies? What kind of question is that? We're quiet people. Sarah runs an online art business from home. I work as a mechanic down on Elm Street. We don't have enemies. Miller shrugged. Just standard procedure. Vandalism usually has a motive. Neighbor dispute? Disgruntled customer? Liam thought of Mr. Henderson, their grumpy neighbor who complained about everything from the length of their grass to the sound of Sarah's mobility. Scooter. But Henderson was old, frail. He wouldn't have the strength, let alone the audacity, to do something like this. No, nothing like that. All right, we'll file a report. Don't expect much, Mr. Vance. No witnesses, no cameras, no suspects. Probably just some joyriding kids. Joyriding kids don't use heavy machinery to rip out a ramp, Liam retorted, pointing at a deep gouge in the concrete foundation, too perfect, too powerful for mere human strength. That looks like a truck with a winch or something. Miller looked at the gouge, then back at his notepad. Could be. Still, without anything more, it's a cold case before it even starts. Get a contractor to give you an estimate for repairs for your insurance. He handed Liam a card and ambled back to his patrol car. Insurance, Liam muttered, watching the car pull away. They'll see ramps and pre-existing conditions and deny it. And even if they didn't, what about the why? This isn't just about the ramp. It's about someone wanting to hurt Sarah, to hurt us. Sarah wheeled herself slowly towards the door, stopping just at the threshold. The morning sun illuminated her, making her look fragile, ethereal. Liam, what are we going to do? I have an exhibition next month. How am I going to get my pieces out? How am I going to go anywhere? Her voice was small, but the unspoken fear was huge. The world had just shrunk to the size of their living room. We'll rebuild it, Sarah, better, stronger, and we're going to find out who did this. Liam's resolve hardened, turning into a steely determination. He would not let anyone take away Sarah's freedom, her spirit. He would move heaven and earth. He spent the next few days in a blur of frantic activity. He called contractors, but the estimates were astronomical. The custom nature of the ramp, the specialized materials, the sheer labor, it was thousands of dollars they didn't have. His savings were depleted after Sarah's last medical emergency. He tried online crowdfunding, but the response was slow, a trickle compared to the torrent needed. While Sarah, with her usual resilience, tried to adapt, working from her laptop. Propped on the coffee table, a shadow had fallen over her vibrant spirit. Liam could see it in her strained smiles, the way her gaze lingered on the shattered porch, the quiet sighs she tried to suppress. It fueled his obsession. He revisited. The scene scoured the street. Nothing. No tire tracks, no forgotten tools, no dropped IDs. It was too clean, too professional. That's when it hit him. This wasn't random. This was orchestrated. His mind replayed every interaction, every perceived slight. Mr. Henderson, no. The only other major issue they'd had recently was with the city council regarding their property tax assessment. Their house, an old Victorian on the edge of the historic district, had been in their family for generations. Lately, a flurry of new development had swept through their neighborhood, turning old homes into trendy boutiques or tearing them down for modern condos. Their house, with its unique accessibility modifications, stuck out. The city had recently tried to rezone their block, pushing for higher density housing. Liam had attended a few contentious community meetings, arguing fiercely against it. The council's proposal would have meant selling their house, or at least significantly changing its character to conform to the new zoning laws. He'd spearheaded a small but vocal group of residents who had successfully fought it off for now. Had someone on the council taken it personally? He remembered a particularly aggressive junior council member, a slick, ambitious man named Marcus Thorne, who had made a veiled threat during one meeting. Some people, Thorne had sneered, looking directly at Liam, stand in the way of progress. Progress has a way of clearing paths. Liam felt a cold dread creep up his spine. Could it be Thorne? He had the motive, the influence, and certainly the lack of scruples. He decided to go straight to the source. The next morning, he left Sarah with a neighbor and drove to City Hall, his old pickup truck rumbling like a predator. The marble halls of the municipal building felt cold, imposing. He found Thorne's office, a polished door with a nameplate that gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Thorne, a man in his early 30s with a meticulously sculpted haircut and a suit that probably cost more than Liam's truck, looked up from his desk, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes. "Mr. Vance, to what do I owe the pleasure? Last I checked, our rezoning efforts were stalled, thanks to your persuasive arguments." His smile was thin, edged with sarcasm. "My sister's wheelchair ramp was destroyed last night," Liam stated, cutting straight to the chase. "I believe it might have something to do with the zoning dispute." Thorne's eyebrows rose, a feigned look of surprise. "Destroyed? Goodness, that's awful. But what on earth would that have to do with city planning?" "Progress has a way of clearing paths. Isn't that what you said?" Liam leaned across the desk, his voice low, menacing. "Were you clearing our path, Mr. Thorne?" Thorne chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "Mr. Vance, I'm a public servant, not a demolition crew. And even if I were, I assure you, I have no interest in your sister's ramp. We adhere to proper legal channels here. We don't resort to hooliganism." His gaze was condescending, dismissing Liam as a small town. "Crackpot, you're telling me this is just a coincidence?" "I'm telling you, Mr. Vance, that you're projecting. Your property dispute is over for now. There's nothing more to discuss." Thorne waved a dismissive hand, turning back to his computer screen. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have important city business to attend to." Liam stood there for a moment, his hands balled into fists. Liam didn't tell Sarah about Anna that night. He couldn't. The revelation felt like a betrayal so profound, so personal, that the words themselves would have poisoned the air between them. He watched Sarah sleep, her breathing shallow and even a stark contrast to the churning storm inside him. How could he break her heart with this truth? Sarah, who still kept a framed photo of them all, a faded picture from childhood, where Anna, the oldest, stood protectively between her two younger siblings, a rare smile gracing her lips. He remembered Anna teaching Sarah how to draw, patiently, guiding her small, fragile hands. This Anna, the one in the online article, was a stranger, a predator. He spent the next few days in a fog, going through the motions at the garage, his mind replaying the image of Anna next to the governor. The ramp, the zoning dispute, the missing dog, it all clicked into place, forming a sinister pattern. Anna wasn't just a legal advisor, she was a fixer, a spearhead for the governor's agenda, and their house, their sanctuary, was merely an inconvenient detail in a grand scheme. The pressure intensified. Anonymous calls started coming to their landline, silent at first, then recorded messages with a synthesized voice, smooth and chilling. "Your property is worth more to us than to you. Consider our offer." Flyers appeared on their doorstep, glossy brochures for a new heritage redevelopment initiative that promised to revitalize the neighborhood by modernizing outdated structures. It was thinly veiled aggression. Sarah, confined to the house, grew increasingly restless. Her art, usually a source of boundless creativity, now reflected her confinement. Landscapes with heavy, impassable barriers, figures reaching out from behind bars. "I feel like a prisoner, Liam," she confessed one evening, her voice barely a whisper. "Even my art feels trapped." That raw vulnerability was the catalyst. Liam knew he had to confront Anna, but not blindly. He needed more. He needed undeniable proof that she was behind the ramp's destruction, not just involved in a general policy. He started by revisiting the city hall. Not Thorne's office, but the archives. He used his mechanic's charm and a plausible story about property line disputes to gain access to historical zoning maps and public records. He cross-referenced recent land acquisitions with the governor's Smart City project proposals. The IE pattern was clear. The properties being targeted were strategically located for a massive commercial development that would connect the university campus with the downtown business district. Their house was right in the middle of it. He also found a record of a state-level grant for urban renewal approved just weeks before the ramp incident. The grant recipient was a newly formed shell corporation called Apex Holdings. A quick, online search revealed Apex Holdings had no physical office, just a P.O. box, and its registered agent was a firm known for setting up anonymous corporate entities. This smelled like Anna. One afternoon, a large, imposing man in a sharp suit appeared at their door. He introduced himself as Mr. Sterling, representing Apex Holdings. His voice was smooth, his eyes devoid of warmth. "We're here to make you a final offer on your property, Mr. Vance. A very generous one, considering its current condition." He gestured subtly towards the splintered remains of the ramp. Liam's jaw tightened. "The ramp being destroyed was an act of vandalism, Mr. Sterling. An illegal one." Sterling's smile was thin. "Unfortunate, yes. But it highlights the need for a fresh start, wouldn't you agree? This house, while charming, simply doesn't fit the vision for the revitalized Elmwood district. We're offering you a fair market price, plus a significant premium for your inconvenience." He slid a thick envelope across the threshold. "Take your time, but not too much. This offer expires in 48 hours. Liam took the envelope, his fingers almost tearing through the paper. "And what happens after 48 hours? Sterling's eyes glinted. "Well, Mr. Vance, let's just say progress waits for no one. There are always other ways to proceed." The unspoken threat hung heavy in the air. As Sterling turned to leave, Liam noticed a faint, almost imperceptible scar just behind his left ear, partially hidden by his hair. A distinctive mark. He'd seen it before. Where? He racked his brain. Then it hit him. Years ago, when Anna had still lived at home, she'd briefly dated a rough-looking bouncer from a club downtown. The man had a similar scar, a relic of a bar fight. His name was Mark Sterling. No, that wasn't right. Just Sterling as a nickname. Could it be the same man? Anna always had a knack for attracting dangerous types. The thought sent a shiver down his spine. If this was the same Sterling, it meant Anna was using people from her past, people with questionable methods, to strong-arm them. He rushed inside, the envelope clutched in his hand. Sarah was watching him, her face etched with worry. "What was that about?" Liam took a deep breath. He couldn't keep it from her any longer. "Sarah, I know who's behind this. Or at least, who's pulling the strings." He laid the laptop on her lap, opened to the article with Anna's photo. "It's Anna. She's the legal advisor for the governor's Smart City project, and our house is in the way." Sarah stared at the screen, her eyes widening, then narrowing in disbelief. "Anna? No, Liam, that's impossible. Anna she wouldn't do this to us, to me." Her voice trembled, a deep hurt surfacing. "She loved this house. She built forts in this yard with us. She promised she'd come back for us. She left, Sarah. She left and never looked back. And now she's back, and she's trying to force us out. This Apex Holdings, I think it's a front for her. And that man, Sterling, he was a thug she used to know." Liam's voice was raw with his own pain and anger. "This isn't the Anna we knew. This is someone else, someone ruthless." Sarah's hands went to her mouth, her gaze fixed on her sister's image, but it was no longer the familiar, cherished face. It was a stranger's, cold and powerful. A single tear tracked a slow path down her cheek. "She wouldn't destroy my ramp. That was your work, Liam. It was for me." The realization seemed to hit her with physical force. She knew how important it was. The grief in her voice was almost unbearable. Liam knelt beside her chair, taking her hand. "I know, sis, but we can't let her win. We can't let her take our home." "What are we going to do?" Sarah asked, her voice broken. "We fight," Liam said, his voice firm. "We find proof, and we expose her." He spent the next 2 days digging deeper. He found more shell. Corporations linked to Apex Holdings, all with the same anonymous registration firm. He found public records of large donations made to the governor's campaign by these shell corporations. It was a web of corruption, perfectly designed to mask the true beneficiaries and the aggressive tactics. He tried to find a direct link, from Anna to Sterling or the ramp, but the paper trail was meticulously clean. Anna was good. Too good. The 48-hour deadline passed without a word from Sterling. Liam thought they might have backed off. He was wrong. That evening, as dusk settled, the lights in their neighborhood flickered, then died. Not just their house, but the entire block. A widespread power outage. Liam grabbed a flashlight, his heart already sinking. This was no accident. He went to the breaker box outside, but it was intact. As he scanned the dark street, a low, guttural growl echoed from the alley behind their house. Mrs. Gable's alley. The same alley where her dog had gone missing. He shone his flashlight towards the sound. Two hulking figures, silhouetted against the faint glow of the distant city, were methodically working on something near the power pole. One of them turned, and the beam of Liam's flashlight caught a momentary glint on his face. He saw it again. The scar. Sterling. Before Liam could react, a blinding flash erupted from the pole, followed by a shower of sparks and a loud bang. The figures vanished into the darkness. The power remained out. He heard Sarah call his name from inside, a tremor of fear in her voice. He rushed back, pulling the door shut behind him. "Stay away from the windows, Sarah!" he yelled, his voice rough. "What was that? What's happening?" "They cut our power, Sarah, and not just ours. The whole block. It's them." He could feel his blood run cold. This wasn't just property damage or veiled threats anymore. This was a direct, dangerous escalation. They were isolated, vulnerable, as... He stood there, consumed by the darkness and the chilling realization of their immediate peril. His phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. He opened it, his heart pounding. It was a photo. A photo of Sarah, sitting in her wheelchair inside the darkened living room, illuminated by the faint glow of a tablet. It had been taken moments ago from outside their own window. Beneath the photo, a single line of text. "The offer is still on the table. Accept or face the consequences." Liam stared at the photo, then at Sarah, oblivious, still asking questions in the darkness. The implication was horrifyingly clear. They weren't just targeting the house, they were targeting her. Anna, his own sister, was orchestrating this, using intimidation, threatening violence, turning their home into a fortress under siege. The realization was a devastating blow, a betrayal deeper than any he could have imagined, and the game had just turned deadly.